Welcome to the Igniting the CEO Within podcast, where we interview successful, high-level professionals to discover lessons they've learned throughout their career that can help ignite that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge, and I'll be your host for the next 15 minutes or so. Our show is sponsored by Quade, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quade has developed Launchpad, which offers an opportunity for experienced executive coaches to become licensed circle directors. After completing the Launchpad program, you'll lead your own peer advisory circles, helping other CEOs and entrepreneurs excel in their professional and personal lives while providing a community of accountability, challenge, and support. If you'd like to learn more, go to quadecircle.com. I am really excited about our show today. I get to hang out with Kory Miles, who's the CEO of KTM International. He's from Cleveland, Ohio. Kory, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Mark, thanks for having me, man. Happy to be here. Hopefully I can add some value to the community.
I have no doubt. All right. I want to jump right into it. So you've done some amazing work in your entire career, but you're also doing a lot of coaching, and you've seen a lot of different types of leaders. You've seen some really, really good ones and some folks who could use some help. If you could identify what separates the two, maybe a trait or two, what would those be?
I think if I had to pick one or two, I would say the ability to separate emotion from transaction. And I would also kind of put a close second to emotional regulation. I think that oftentimes we as leaders, we can be too emotional so that we can't see the field in front of us. And I think that emotional intelligence and regulation is a very, 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 very big part of leadership as a whole.
Yeah, that's great. I want to go back to your first one, the separation of emotion from transaction.
Mm-hmm.
That's share more on that, because I want to dig into that.
Yes, sir. I think that, and I recognize it even earlier on in some of my leadership journey. I was taking things that weren't happening very personal. Certain things would happen, or a transaction wouldn't go my way, or a deal wouldn't fall through, and I would take it as if it was a slight against me, a slight against my personhood, my character. They're hating on me, things like that. And that's, while some of those things may be true, it is not always the case. The deal you may actually be somewhat protected from a bad deal that you're not able to see in the long run. And I think that, when you're too emotional as a leader, when those things happen, they're telltale signs of if you are really fit for leadership or if you're just trying some things out. And if I do believe that if it's not the thing, it'll be the thing that leads to the thing. So emotion and business, they don't go hand in hand. You got to keep your emotions out of it.
Yeah, I agree with you to a point. I think that, there's a part of it, right, that if you're looked at it as a leader, there's this fine line of being extremely black and white versus having some emotion and some empathy, that plays into it. So, what do you think about walking that fine line as the leader?
Honestly, and you're right. It is a very fine line. I'm not saying to be emotionless, but to be led by emotion is never a good thing. And that's relationship, business, or in any other sort. So when you're to say that emotion is not applicable is to be not human, right? We're all humans having a human experience, right? So it does hurt when that deal doesn't go through. You planned it, you went through the steps, and then boom, the bottom falls out and you can't figure it out. What happened? What is going on? Are they hating on me? What am I missing here?
It can't be me.
Yeah, it can't be me. I did everything. Everything was right. But I think that there is some protection, for lack of a better word, when things don't necessarily go the way that you planned, because you have plans and then you have pivots, and leadership is executed when you can be good at both. What happens when you Mike Tyson, everybody has a plan when you get punched until you get punched in the mouth. You know what I mean? Right. So you have your plan, but attached to that plan or underwritten by that plan are the pivots that you may have to make And that's what makes great leadership. Not only the plan, but the pivots, the things that you have to make adjustments to on the fly. Those are the things that go into leadership, not just the picture taken and the baby kissing. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right. Yeah, yeah. No, I like that, and I think you nailed it on. You can't be emotionless, right? I mean, that's
100%,
that. It's impossible. Like you said, we're all
100%.
human, and we're built on emotion. But then that really leads into your second one, right? Which is emotional regulation. So
Mhm.
share a little bit more about that because I like it. I agree with you 100%.
100%, Mark. I think, again, it goes back into that human experience. You are a human, whether you're making these deals or shaking these hands. You're still a human being, and navigating the pressure and the weight that goes along with leadership. You have to regulate that well, and when you don't have emotional regulation, your feelings are all over the place. You when there's fourth quarter and there's point 0.5 on the clock, you need to be trusted to hit the game winning shot or make the game winning decision. And then when it doesn't go the way that you've dreamed about it going, to still be able to do the interview and say, hey, you know what, I take the blame on this one. This was my fault. Um, Without throwing your team under the bus, because you are the leader. Even if it wasn't your fault, it's still your fault because you're the face of it. So
Right.
understanding the emotion that goes along with that, knowing how to process, whether it's frameworks, whether it's therapy, whether whatever your process is to process well, and healthily, to be able to get out there and lead again another day. That's important too, because it's not always going to go your way. It's not always going to go the way that you planned, and you got to be able to still get up and put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. No, you're dead on. So you know, like you said before, we're all humans, and
Hmm.
so that regulation, while key, it's really hard, right? I
Yeah,
mean, it's like it is. Like again, you want everything to go perfectly, and
absolutely.
sometimes it will, and most times it's not, right? And
Hmm.
so what and you started to talk about some things of how you can do some regulation, like some tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff. Are there some things that you've seen that really help people when they're under pressure, when things aren't going their way? What are some tips and tricks that do help you regulate that emotional component?
A practical tool that I kind of use, is, what am I responsible for? Okay. What am I resenting? And then what am I
Mm,
avoiding? Because what I'm responsible for is what's in my control. And typically, when you boil it all down, no matter what you want to control, the only thing that you control is yourself, right?
yep.
So, how am I showing up every day? What is the example that I'm putting forth every day? Um, and one of the things that I kind of use is demonstration before verbalization. Sometimes you have to show the way before you talk about the way to go. And that can be taxing, that can be rough. It's like, why aren't you getting it? I'm modeling, but
Right.
but that's a part of leadership. And then the other thing is, what am I resenting? Because that's where your discipline lies. The things that you don't want to do are 9 times out of 10 the things that you have to do in order to be better at what you do. Nobody likes conditioning. Nobody likes to get out and get on the treadmill, or
Yep.
nobody likes discipline, but we like the results of discipline. Right. So doing the things that you don't like you like them, is a is a great exercise. And then what am I avoiding? And typically the way to be better is to, look at the things that that's kind of like I said in the last point. The things that we're avoiding, is typically the hard work that's going to make us better. When you don't feel like it, how do you show up? When your body's, that first day in the gym is not the most important day. It's the second day
Yeah.
after you're sore. How are you showing up after
Right.
you got you did leg day and now you're a little sore. You can't sit down as fast as you used to. How are you showing up on day two? That's more important than day one. So that's a little small framework that I kind of use, to kind of just keep me going. If I'm not responsible for it, I'm not going to carry it with me. If I am responsible for it, it's up to me to get it done, not to rely on somebody else to do it. What am I resenting? I don't always like what I'm doing, but it has to be done. And then what am I
Yep.
avoiding? Typically, that's the hard work that needs to be done, that makes me a better, puts me in a better position and makes me a better leader overall.
A ton of that comes back to self awareness, right? Like
Hmm.
how taking the time to really understand not only how you're coming at a problem, but how others are perceiving you coming at a problem or a situation or a conversation.
Absolutely. And I think you bring up a great point, Mark. Self-awareness is I think it's a new thing in leadership because I think oftentimes when you are the leader, there's this false uh, debut or display of perfection, or I'm the
Mhm.
leader, I have it all together, and that
Yep.
is absolutely not the case. So
Yeah.
in leadership, I often tell people to reject the pedestal that helps you not that helps you be a better leader. Reject the pedestal that people want to put on to you because that pedestal is underwritten with perfection. You don't have that to give anybody.
Hmm.
You don't have that to give, so you're setting yourself up for failure when you accept the pedestal. You have to kind of be self-aware and knowing who I am and knowing what I bring to the table. But also, Steve Jobs says, be an expert at hiring experts. What do you need to delegate or who do you need to put in place so that you can continue to be great, but they can be great at what they do and you can be great at what you do. It's the power of partnership.
Oh, I love that. That's really good. Yeah, I think one of the things that entrepreneurs struggle with, especially
Mm-hmm.
when they've started something from scratch,
Mm-hmm.
is I've got to do everything, right? And at the beginning, you do,
Yeah.
and but if your company is going to grow at any level or scale at size,
Mm-hmm.
there comes a time when you have to figure out where am I most valuable to this company and go do that and
Mm-hmm.
have a team that can fill in the rest of that. So I'm dead on with you, man, right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think even off of that thought, Mark, it's I call it the starter trap because it's always I'll start the business. All you got to do is and
Right.
and you send people out there half cocked with half fleshed out vision, and then when refinement comes, you can't pivot well. And when you can't pivot well, you cleave to the initial thing that you built out, and it can't grow. So anything that stops growing is dead. So you shoot yourself in the foot and you bleed out before you even have the proper tools to learn how to pivot, to learn how to grow, to learn how to pitch, to learn how to refine. Because all of those things outside of starting your LLC, congratulations, you conceived the child. Now you have to grow it.
Right.
So so those are the things that even in my journey, I didn't have entrepreneurship to glean from kind of growing up, but I always had a knack for it, an inward affinity for things that I didn't see, but I just kind of knew. And obviously I studied, certain things and all of that to gain. But I'm always a student. If you never leave the position of a student, you can always grow. So always looking for someone who knows something more than me, because you can get there. You can get the information sooner, so you can get there faster by somebody who's already been there.
Oh,
So
I love that. Yes, that man, there's so much to unpack there. But I am dead on with you. I mean, it's one of the reasons we started our CEO peer group, right? Is
mhm,
there's power in being around like situated people
yes,
who have these experiences that they're willing to share so that you can benefit from their experiences and their network and all those things. It's a powerful thing. So
it
man,
is.
I love where you're going there.
Man,
Hey,
I
do me a
and
favor
go ahead. I'm sorry.
as we start to wrap this thing up.
Mm,
Let think back to 21-year-old Kory. Okay,
mm.
what is one thing that you wish he knew that you've learned over the years?
You're not crazy. You are not crazy. You may be ahead, but you're not crazy. You may be early, but you're not crazy. And when you're trailblazing something, it's hard to seek a blueprint when you are curating that same blueprint. So sometimes you're looking for help There is none for you, for your specific path. You can glean from certain people who are doing certain things, but the execution and the architecture, the build out, it's on you, buddy. So you have to be able to understand that just because you got there slower does not mean you didn't arrive better. Someone who got there faster is not necessarily better. There is power in first, but Blockbuster was first. Blockbuster ain't here no more.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
you know, we're not, again, that's not a knock against Blockbuster or anything like
Yeah.
that, but I'm just saying that disruption hits every industry. We're seeing it now with the AI boom. We seen it a few years ago from, uh, Blockbuster to Redbox to now, Netflix. And then
Yep.
from Netflix, we got Hulu and, all of these things. It's just a
Yep.
continual evolution of things. And no one who was first wants to be unchampioned. Right. So you got to go through that. I'm sure the Blockbuster guys, when they were getting pitched, the Redbox idea, we don't need that
Right.
until they needed it, and then it was too late. You're already
Yep.
hemorrhaging. The model's already out there. So, going back to the original question, sorry for the rant. I would
No,
say
that was
that you're
good.
not you're not crazy, and to honestly to bring it home a little more, to believe in yourself, to be more self-aware, to be cognizant that being different is not a bad thing.
Mm.
Even when we're kids and we're kind of in that age bracket, different is viewed as not good. Different or not following the crowd or kind of marching to the beat of your own drum, so to speak, is not welcome. It's something that you're taught to avoid. So I would say go harder, go harder at it, and get around some people who you can glean from. Get around some of the old guys that you used to kind of shy away from, and
Yeah.
glean some of that knowledge that was available to you or that they were trying to get. Everyone needs and has a mentor. So even if it's not the same thing that you do, you can glean from where they've been.
I love that. That's awesome. Thank you for doing that. Hey,
Yeah.
do me one last favor. Share with
Mhm.
our audience, what would a typical engagement with you look like, and how can people get a hold of you?
I think right now, getting a hold of me, LinkedIn is the best way to go. You can also go on my website, but LinkedIn is more personal. It's more me. So you can do that. That's fine. I welcome that. And restate your first question. I'm sorry, Mark.
What, that's okay. What's a typical engagement? If somebody's going to work with you, what does that look like?
Um, it is. I do a lot of filler, like a lot of filling out, because I don't want people. I want people to be exactly who they are, not who they think I want them to be.
Mm.
So I'm probably going to ask a lot of questions. I'm real big on intimacy, the idea of intimacy, and I know that
Mhm.
that word typically aligns with, like, you know sex or whatever. It's not that. Intimacy is closeness.
Yeah.
Intimacy is curated by communication, and if you don't know who you're working with, it's going to be harder to work with them. So I'm not asking your life story. I'm not asking, how old the dog is and all of that, but who you are as an individual shows up in where you are as an individual. So it's important to know who you're with, so that you can know, all right, how do you respond to pressure? Okay, how do you respond when things aren't going your way? How do you respond when, deadlines are not being met, and deadline is on Friday, it's Wednesday, you ain't got none of your stuff done. The ideas aren't popping, because who you are then is the direct result of who you actually are on the inside. So we need to know that. And it's not about being perfect. It's about knowing who you're on the battlefield with, so that we can win this game, or we can win this war, or we can, finish this thing out. So I think it's important to know who we are. So saying all of that to say, normal for me, or working with someone, it is just trying to figure out who you are as a person, man. I'm really big on character, as when I'm working with someone, because you're expecting something from me, I'm expecting something from you. Um, And I don't want you, Thursday at 11:59 with a midnight deadline telling me, "Oh man, I can't." You know what I mean? You
Yep.
knew that on Monday.
Right. Right. Yep.
So that's kind of what it looks like. I want to know who I'm in the field with. I don't need to know everything, but there are certain things that will kind of reveal who you're working with so that you can know how you need to work. Sorry,
Love
I
it.
took a long time to get around that, but
No, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, thank you so much for hanging out with me this afternoon. I really appreciate you.
absolutely, man. Hey, Mark, thank you for the time today. You got a great thing going on. Grateful to be a part. Looking forward to some more opportunities.
I appreciate you. All right. All right, y'all. We did it again. We found another amazing leader in Kory. Thankful that he was willing to share some of his insights with us. As we wrap up, I want to remind you that Igniting the CEO Within is sponsored by Quade, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quade has created Launchpad, which provides an opportunity for experienced executive coaches to become licensed circle directors and significantly impact the lives of CEOs and entrepreneurs. To find out more, visit quadecircle.com. Until next time, keep igniting that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge. Thanks for listening.